can't route through that. It's just so obviously, hopefully get some idea of some real world how-tos, whether you're using MikroTik or not. It should be, the idea is where you start, what things do you look for first based on, the information you've been given. So what I've done is I've got this network here that I've set up. So I've got CHR in Australia and CHR in UK, and they're both in AWS. And then I've got an IPsec and GRE tunnel between the two. And then I've got my router here, which is the router that my machine's plugged into that I'll be using as a demo. And then that's connected through my dev network. But this is going to be out of scope. We're not going to be looking into this. So this is basically just providing us internet. And then we've got an IPsec L2TP connection to our Australian one, because I'm in Australia, so that made sense. So what I've done is I created this network. I confirmed everything worked. I've got a couple of machines here and a machine over in the UK one. And then I got someone to log into all of this and basically break the network. So if we move on to the rest of it, so this is basically, I can show you the GRE there, the IP address is there, and this is my VPN. And then there's BGP running between the two. So some point I didn't want, so there's nothing over sort of your basic techniques you'd use to troubleshoot a problem. So we're not talking firmware issues, we're not talking any sort of, there's no scripting involved. It's very, I asked them to keep it fairly simple, but not to do the same thing on every single, so don't make the same change or problem on each one. And then on the basically the criteria that I had for myself was from the host machine that I'm on now, I need to be able to access the internet. I want to be able to RDP to the Windows server in Australia and to RDP to that Windows server in the UK. So this machine here and this machine here. Okay, so let's jump off this. Close all these. So it is live, so there's no going back and editing all the opening and closing of windows I don't want to necessarily see. And then here I've got the answers basically of what's happened or what the changes that were made. So if I get really stuck, obviously I'll look at that, but if not, I'll review that at the end. So so let's get started. As you can see, I do not have any internet access. So all I want to show you is really, because this is a similar technique that I used for interviews for people. So you can interview someone, and say you're a hairdresser, you'd probably get them to cut someone's hair to see if they can actually do what they say they can do. So, excuse me, I'd create like a very basic network. It wouldn't just be MikroTik, there'd be other devices in the mix as well, switches and so on, because as you can see from that topology, I've got no switching involved. And then I would obviously break it in certain places. Favorite one of mine was to leave the Ethernet port just slightly unplugged, so it looked like it was plugged in, but so you'd hope that they'd use that ISO layer and start at the physical layer and make sure that the connections are properly inserted. That caught a lot of people out, but obviously that's not going to be involved in this one because you wouldn't be able to see me doing that. So because I'm just sharing my screen, excuse me. But the point is really that I want to show you that, say you're supporting someone who says, I've got no internet access. So where do you start looking? Obviously, if you're in a help desk somewhere, you may first confirm that the router that they're connected to is up and you can remotely get to it, because that's an obvious, if that's down, then everyone, but then you would probably get more phone calls, if you get what I mean. So I want to treat this as one person's called up and they've got a problem and they can't get on the internet. First of all, they may tell you they can't get to they may have to, every day they come into work and they log on to a remote server to work on that remote server. And they could tell you that doesn't work. But what you need to try and establish is, firstly, do they have internet access? Do they have access to be able to, for that network to establish to where it needs to go? So if they're using a VPN, can that VPN establish? And without the internet, that's not going to work. Or if they're on some sort of MPLS. So you need to take a step back and work logically through the problem. So that's why now I'm going to start on the host machine that I'm on. And we're going to first of all check I've got a valid IP. So one thing I didn't mention before is I've got a separate connection into this, which if you've seen any of my videos that you'll know that I mentioned this before. I just have this separate connection through my dev network, but there's no gateway, so I can't route through that. It's just so, obviously, I've killed the internet, I've killed access, so I may be logged off this machine. Same for I'll access all the other MikroTiks via the public IP addresses. So, yeah, it's not much of a demo if I can't actually show you what I'm doing. So that's something, just a point of note, but nothing to do with the troubleshooting. But yeah, unidentified networks. Let's take a look at this one. So I've got an IP address, so that's valid based on the range I'm on. But yeah, straight away you can see there's no gateway or DNS. So problem number one. Before we look further into that, what we can just do is make sure that we can still ping our gateway. Just to rule out that, like I mentioned, that layer one problem, or the port on the interface on the router could be down. But no, so I can get to my gateway. I just haven't been told how to route to it. So let's check out these. So there is a DHCP server running on that on my router. So yeah, these have been set statically, but the gateway is missing. So I could fix that by putting the gateway in. But what I'm going to do is because I mentioned there's first things first, DHCP should always work. Now you may find the DHCP is not working, so they've set them statically. But then you have to question why. So is the DHCP server really off? And if you can't talk to the DHCP server, then you've probably got a bigger problem, providing that DHCP. And that's where, the volume of calls and the amount of people that have the same problem. So that's where you need to think about that as well in terms of scale. If the problem's local to one person, chances are that those further up DNS servers, DHCP servers, outbound routers are all fine because everyone else is okay. So there we go, internet. So I've obviously got an IP address. Yep, valid IP address. DNS is the router. So that's all looking good. So now let's make sure we can ping the internet. Yep, I can ping the internet. Can I ping a host name? No, I can't ping that. So that means, saying I've got internet, but I can't get to the internet. Okay, let's do an NS lookup to Google. Okay, so my DNS server can't resolve DNS. So let's do the same NS lookup, but to a public IP address. Okay, so DNS can get through. So there's a problem with my DNS server. Okay, so let's jump on my router. We'll go on its gateway IP. Okay, so I can resolve DNS. I'm assuming that. Oh no, actually no, I'm not assuming. I can't assume that. Let's see if this can resolve DNS. Because if this can't, then okay. So the MikroTik can. As I'm using the DNS server, the MikroTik has the DNS server. It's got valid IPs. Aha, look, allowed remote request. So if that's not checked, it means that people using it as a DNS, it won't respond to those. Let's just confirm my theory. Bang, there we go. I should be able to ping Google now. There we go. Cool. So that is internet access check. Right. Next one is I'm going to try and get to those remote servers. So the first one, obviously I know the IPs quite well because I've set this up originally, but obviously I'd have to be referring back to some sort of diagram each time or list. So .9 is my Windows machine. I can ping that. Let's try an RDP to it. Nine. Okay. Admin. Traceroute, and then got the passwords here ready. Okay, cool. So I can get to my Australian one. Easy. Okay, so that one's okay. So let's try to get to the UK one, which is on 26. That was 74, I believe. Let's just. Open that. So just bring my slides again. It's got the IP address on it. 74, yeah, that's definitely the right IP address. Got ping to it, so let's do a traceroute. So first thing, sorry, I should be probably describing more what I'm doing. The first thing to do is, excuse me, is to ping. Ping is your basic level of testing. If you can't get a ping through, then traceroute, and that'll give you an idea of where it's dropping, providing that the devices on the way are going to respond to you to the ICMP. Okay, so this is going to bring up that. Where's the one with the IP addresses? Oh. So it's getting to the UK one, but it's not going to the. Okay, so it's not going to the UK. So let's. Yep, so it's definitely getting there and it's stopping there. So let's go on our Australian MikroTik, which is that one. Okay, that's our BGP. We'll look at that in a minute. So let's start with, actually, let's get like this, bring our routing table back up. So, okay, so unreachable, that capital U means unreachable. That tells me my GRE tunnel is down, which is what we're routing to. So you can see there's my L2TP, which is what I'm connecting on. And then I've got an IPsec tunnel with our GRE. So let's check our IPsec. IPsec to UK, no phase 2. Okay, so my tunnel's down. Okay, so I wonder what that is. Okay, what's it saying? Auth not matching. Authentication failed. Okay, so we've got a problem with the authentication. Let's have a look at that then. So identities. Okay, we're using pre-shared key. Okay, let's just unhide passwords. So hello world 123. That's correct. Okay. Quick look through all this. So there's my peer. That's my remote IP. IK2. That's all good. Proposals using the proposal one which I set. Yeah, it would be complaining about encryption if it was that. 12540 and 22540. Correct. Tunnel, yes. Proposal one. Okay. So it looks okay this end. So let's jump on the UK one. As I mentioned, because I'm accessing these on the public IP address, we can still get to them. Let's just close all these. Get a bit neater. Right, so let's check our IPsec out this end. Okay, so it said authentication, didn't it? So let's check that out first. Identities, pre-shared key. Oh, there we go. Look, dodgy password. Oh, dodgy password it's a bit more secure than what I'm using. But just keep it simple. Okay, hello world 123. Apply. Okay, hopefully that was easy. Yes, established. Okay, cool. And then let's make sure our GRE tunnel is up. Yep. Cool. Right. See if that's fixed anything. Okay. Okay, we're still not getting there. Okay, so let's go back to our. So this is still from our Australian one. let's see if this can ping it. 172.31.26.74. No, that can't. Okay, let's have a look at our routing table. Let's close all these again. Okay, IP routes. Okay, so BGP is. So I'm getting the route, so it should know how to route there. Traceroute 172.31.16.74. No, not 16, was it? It's 26.74. Okay, so it knows how to route there. So the two BGP routes I'm learning is my test router network, which is the one that I'm connecting on, and the UK LAN. Okay, interesting. So I can see them. So let's have a look at the UK one. Let's close all this because I'm pretty confident my IPsec tunnel's working now. IP routes. Okay, so I'm learning. I'm learning about 1, 2, 3. That's very strange. Why can I get to .1? Yeah, I can get to 254.1, so I can get to the Australian one, but it's not. So it's failing when it gets to the UK one. But the UK one knows about me. Let's just make sure, actually. The thing I should have checked is this server's actually online. I did say don't make any changes to the servers, but you never know. 72.31.26.74. Yeah, so that's online. But why? Okay, so let's fix the fact that this should be learning the should at least know about the Australian, the CHR routes. So it's not doing that. So let's try and fix that while I still have a think about why the other bit isn't working. Okay, so let's look at our BGP config. Routing BGP. This is my two networks. One is to my local one, and one is to the UK. General. Let's just check my session. Sorry. There we go. So 222 is up. Prefix count 0. Uptime. Okay, so we're not established. Why are we not established? What? I'll try the remote. Definitely get to that IP, can't we? Nope. Yep. We can get there. One thing is we're not advertising any routes to the UK. So we want to advertise our BGP, which is first enable that. There we go. So we've got. Okay, so we're now advertising out. Let's just check. We're advertising the correct amount. Firewall address lists. Okay. All right. Yeah. So now we should be seeing that. There we go. We're seeing that right now. So now let's see if we can get to that server from. No, we can't. Okay. So let's just restock and sitrep. We are getting routes seem to be across all our routers. This can see as well IP routes. This must be able to because it's getting to routing onto the CHR. Yep. Okay. So every router knows about each other, about its routes. Okay. We know to route from Australia to the UK, but when it gets to the UK, let's have a look at the firewall rules. Oh, there we go. Look. So I've got usual input ones, so that's anything accessing the router, but my forward rules, I've got a drop here, which drops anything that's not going out of ether 1, and I've got local routes, which is my local routes there, which is my one route there, to my GRE interface to Australia, and then so I can talk to there, but the response wouldn't come back, and vice, and I now can't talk to it. But I bet that is the problem. So again, when you do find something you think is the fix, you fix it, and then you check, your way back to where your problem starts. I would suggest, rather than jumping back onto the machine and confirming. We could obviously, because we've only got two things in the way, it wouldn't make it wouldn't make sense to do that. But if you were working across a large network, you'd want to work your way gradually back. There we go. I can now get to it. So in theory, if that can get to it, can I get to it? Interesting. I still can't get there. BGP. Where are we? Australia. So I know that the routes are getting there. I'll be coming through that interface. Okay, let's do a torch on that interface. And then we'll run a ping. Oh, look at that, pings. Okay. Oh, why is our Traceroute not working? Interesting. I wonder if that's could just be the Windows firewall. Maybe. I can ping it, okay, so can I RDP to it? I wonder why I can't Traceroute to it. 26.74. Yeah, I see my RDP session coming in. Let's copy that password. No, looks like I can get to it. I just wonder why I can't Traceroute. It's take a while to load because I'm. Yeah. It's be a little bit slow because it's traveling literally across the world. Gonna ping my machine. What did I get? 150, wasn't it? Yeah, 150. Okay, well, I can ping back to myself. How about a Traceroute? Oh, that's very strange. I bet you've got the firewall on. I'm no Windows expert, so the first thing I do is turn the firewall off everything, but I'm not saying that's best practice. Oh no, I've turned it off. Okay. Well, I can't really explain why I can't Traceroute to it. It's going to bug me now. Going through. I'm not allowing or disallowing any protocols. I've kept the rules very simple. It's just matching on IP addresses or interfaces, not ports or protocols. Okay. Well, I'm going to chalk that up as to a Windows quirk. But anyway, that wasn't part of the objective to be able to Traceroute to it. Pinging and RDPing is conclusive enough that it's working. Okay, so I think that was everything. I think I can take a look at those answers now to make sure. Okay, yeah, so missing gateway on most host machine. It could also put static and not DHCP, but luckily I knew the network well enough to know that there was DHCP there. DNS allow route, yep, disabled. NAT rule misconfigured. Well, NAT rule was misconfigured. Missed that one. IPsec PSK incorrect, yep. BGP, not advertising routes to the UK. Yeah, but firewall forward route. Australian LAN access to UK LAN. Yep. Okay. I'm not sure about the NAT one. Let's just take a look at those NAT rules. Just fun. So that's just allowing me to. Oh, I do have a NAT rule. That shouldn't be there. I don't want a NAT until the LAN. See if that's made a difference to my Traceroute. Nope. Hasn't kicked my. No. Okay. Okay. Go away. Okay. Well, that was hang up from another video I'd done where I was. Originally, that machine didn't have a gateway, so they can both turn off. So they're just my outbound NAT rule and one-to-one NAT for the IPsec tunnel. Okay, let's look on the Australian one. IP firewall NAT. I've got a bunch of stuff in here which I need to take out, but that one is off, but doesn't actually need to be on for the IPsec that I'm using. Okay, that all looks good. This one. Firewall NAT. Okay, I don't know what that meant. I think that was perhaps something they were meant to do, but forgot to make that, fix that, break that. Perhaps they were going to break this so I could lose access to the internet. Okay. Well, anyway, so I think we're done. Yeah, a bit of a all over the place video. Hopefully, some people found it useful. Yeah, if I'm happy to do more of these sort of things. If you've got a particular area you'd like me to troubleshoot, happy to do it. To do it live. If you've got, I could even do, a larger network on something like GNS3 or another emulator, just to see, and to add some more sort of dynamic routing in there to show where you go about troubleshooting that. But yeah, if not, I hope you enjoyed this. Please comment, obviously, on this. Once this is finished, I'll put it up as a normal video. So you can obviously rewatch it or recommend it to someone else, or people that are finding this via that means. And yeah, sorry it was a bit jumpy all over the place, but you know, that's live for you. But if not, please like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.